Hello, dear listeners, and welcome to today's TSF1 Greece Podcast for the British Grand Prix. Today with me I have got only Panos, no surprise there. Hello, Panos.
Hello, Alex.
So, Dimitris, as always, he said he left because he had a meeting. Okay, he's actually working. Let's give him that. But, Mercedes people have the best excuses to run away when the situation is not ideal for them. So, Panos will start with the free practice and the quali sessions, and then we will move together towards the race. So, Panos, the podcast is yours.
Thank you, Alex, after that introduction. So, free practice one, Friday morning. We have Max Verstappen in first place, Sergio Perez in second, and Alex Albon in third. Williams seems to have figured it out in Silverstone, as we will see in the free practice sessions. So we have free practice 2 Friday afternoon. In first place, once again for this season, Max Verstappen, Carlos Sainz in second, and Alex Albon in third, with Logan Sargent in fifth, showing that both Williams, after the upgrades they have made, seem to have figured out some issues they had during the first half of the season. So, Saturday morning, right before qualifying, we have in first place, surprise, Charles Leclerc. In second place, Alexander Albon, and third place, Fernando Alonso. Max Verstappen was in 8th, to be honest, which is okay. No, a bit of a surprise, but we can move on.
Wait for it.
So, in qualifying, we had a disqualification of Bottas after his car was unable to provide a liter of sample of fuel. So we have in 19th Kevin Magnussen, 18th Nick De Vries, 17th Zhou Guanyu, 16th Yuki Tsunoda. Out of Q3 we have in 11th Nico Hülkenberg, 12th Lance Stroll, 13th Esteban Ocon, 14th Logan Sargent, and 15th Sergio Perez. So our top 10 is Poleman once again, Max Verstappen, second place Lando Norris, third place Oscar Piastri, 2, 3, 4 McLaren Mercedes, fourth Charles Leclerc, fifth Carlos Sainz, sixth George Russell, seventh Sir Lewis Hamilton in Silverstone, seventh Dimitri, eighth Alex Albon,
got stuck in my throat.
Ninth Fernando Alonso, disappointing
unfortunate
session.
Yes.
And 10th Pierre Gasly. I think we can move on, Alex, with the race.
Of course. So we decided to
an amazing.
It was a good race. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we decided to implement a more relaxed / casual approach to the podcast, like we have it in Greek. If you like it, let us know. If you don't like it, I'm sorry, but we'll have more fun that way. So let us know, but I can't promise you anything. So, as the race began, the top 10 racers were positioned on the grid with mediums, save for Russell, who was on the soft ones. From the moment the lights turned off, Verstappen struggled to gain momentum, allowing the McLarens to take the lead, with Norris swiftly capturing the top spot. As the race unfolded, Piastri swiftly tried to overtake Verstappen's Red Bull, while a modest gap formed between the top 3 and the trailing pack. Observing this dynamic was Leclerc from the 4th position. That comes as a surprise. With Russell closing in at 5th after surpassing Sainz. Meanwhile, Alonso showed his prowess as the standout performer in the initial 3 laps, ascending to 7th place. Hot on his heels were Hamilton, Gasly and Albon, completing the top 10.
The tide started turning on the 5th lap when Verstappen overtook Norris at Brooklands, causing a setback for McLaren. Despite this, Norris didn't back down and kept up with Verstappen, while Piastri provided strong competition in his McLaren. Simultaneously, Russell persistently tried to overtake Leclerc, who was skillfully defending his position. Meanwhile, Perez was struggling to move up from the 15th place in his Red Bull car. Despite the powerful vehicle, Perez found difficulty advancing, even making contact with Magnussen. Surprise, surprise. By the 10th lap, he was still in only 12th place. At the same time, a pit lane incident forced Alpine to instruct Ocon to shut down his car, resulting in the race's first retirement.
Yes, unfortunately for Ocon, who was having a relatively good race, he had to DNF.
He seemed to have the pace.
But the Haas of Magnussen, it won't be the only appearance that he will be doing as an incident. So, the weather threatened to play spoilsport as rain loomed on the horizon, thus creating an uncertain atmosphere amidst a relatively stable race. The top 7 drivers remained largely unchanged, except for Russell, who had managed to move up a spot. Sainz, however, chose to bide his time behind the soft-tire Mercedes. The competition at the front intensified as Verstappen started to pull away from Norris, building a lead of 2.4 seconds. Piastri was just shy of 2 seconds behind his teammate Norris, with Leclerc and Russell locking in at an intense battle not far behind for the 4th place.
Perez, as I mentioned earlier, gradually started to gain ground, finally capturing the 10th spot by the 15th lap. However, his advancement stalled somewhat as he found it difficult to overtake Alonso, even with the DRS activated.
You just
by the
mess with Uncle Alonso, right?
Exactly.
I mean,
by the 19th lap, Leclerc was the first of the top tier drivers to pit. His team executed a quick and efficient pit stop. Okay, fitting him.
It was okay,
fitting him with the hard Pirelli tires and setting him back on the clear track swiftly.
The problem was the tire choice.
Once again, Ferrari made the wrong decision.
It's fast, but it's wrong.
Surprise.
But Ferrari will be like, but it was fast, but it's wrong. Yeah, but it was fast. Anyway, so by the 20th lap, Verstappen led the pack and steadily increased the gap with every passing lap. Casual Sunday stuff. As Verstappen set the fastest lap, he checked with his team whether the race strategy remained unchanged. I mean, I'm laughing because it was like, we're still going with what? Yeah. Oh, okay. With confirmation received, he continued to power ahead. No surprise there. By this point, the McLarens were maintaining their position. Norris and Piastri were demonstrating their car's strength, while at the same time Russell managed to make his soft tires last longer than expected. I mean, we have to give it to Mercedes, their tire strategy and their tire degradation rate is really good. It's always better than expected.
So, however, a series of pit stops shook things up. After Sainz and Russell took their turns at the pit, the top 10 at the end of the 30th lap was a changed order. Verstappen now had a solid 8.5 second gap only. Disaster struck on the 34th lap as Magnussen's Haas car stopped, emitting a heavy cloud of smoke, prompting a full safety car intervention. The incident led to several pit stops and the significant changes in the order of drivers. When the race finally resumed at the end of the 38th lap, the top 10 had reshuffled. The restart saw Verstappen in the lead, followed by Norris and Hamilton. Interestingly though, Norris had hard tires compared to Verstappen and Hamilton on softs. Despite the tire handicap, Norris managed to hold off Hamilton's challenges. Where is Dimitris to make fun of him when we need? The McLaren drivers continued their impressive performance despite the team's tire selection error. Wasn't really an error at the end of the day if you finish in front of Mercedes, keeping their cars in the leading pack. At the same time, Perez, do you remember Perez, was gradually working his way up in order finally overtaking Alonso on the 47th lap. Towards the end of the race, a slight error by Ferrari, error. Okay, that doesn't happen. Cost them dearly as Perez, Albon and Leclerc each managed to overtake.
By the 45th lap, Verstappen had built a solid 3.3 second lead, while Norris was holding off Hamilton's challenges, knowing his car tires would serve him better the longer he could maintain his position. The race had become a thrilling spectacle, with position shifting and drivers pushing their cars to the absolute limit. I think all in all we can say yes. And Norris was the driver of the day with over 15 or 20% difference from the second place. I mean, the guy deserved it, clearly. So, I think we can say it was a good race, an interesting race, and we would like more races like that. Maybe a bit of weather,
and
maybe
more of
safety car.
McLaren at the front, I think.
Yeah. Since Ferrari is not doing it, let's at least have someone else give it a try. So, from our side, we expect you tomorrow with the WEC of the 6 hours of Monza, or if you're not following
another exciting race.
Yes, that was also a very good race. If you're only sticking to Formula 1, we will see you in 2 weeks for the Hungarian Grand Prix, which will take place at Hungaroring in between July 21st and 23rd. And by the end of this month, we have on the last weekend the Belgium Grand Prix in Spa, and then we have our month-long summer break. Thank you very much for being amongst us today. Pano, thank you very much for your input and commentary, and we look forward to seeing you on our next podcast. Have a great evening, everyone.